like,
interesting is that's the most positive thing I think that anyone's really ever said about
I'm just
him.
like, I mean, when I saw the interview, that's what came up to me. I'm like, what type is he? Like, what is he?
I didn't see that.
What is he is the best question overall to ask about him.
It's like,
what is he?
Is he a human? Or
Right.
He's human. He's
is he
human.
is he of the?
Is he human? I'm not sure.
With his mom helps me to feel compassion.
Really?
Yeah, well,
Okay, that's a lot of reframing.
Well, just because,
You bully him?
I mean, that's okay. That's not why she makes me feel compassion for him.
Okay.
Wait,
In other words, well, so put it this way. The reason that I feel compassion for him is not because she successfully indicated to me that I bullied him.
She's successfully wrong, though. Like, I mean...
No, I'm saying that's not the reason why I feel compassion.
Oh, okay.
Rather, the reason I feel... The way that she successfully convinces me to feel compassion for him is basically to just remind me that he's probably very lost.
He is. He's completely lost. I mean, he $600 for typing.
Who? CSU?
Yeah.
I thought it was like.
It's down to 300 now.
Wow.
It was 300, then it was 600. Now it's down to 300 again. And he's telling exactly. This is what I'm talking about.
It's $300 only now. You saved $300.
Yep.
It's down from 600, so slash. It's a red slash sale.
Yes.
That's what makes it so much more appealing than 300,
right.
I guess. Right?
He's just a scammer. That's it. He's a person too. I don't not have compassion towards people.
Of course.
Do you think he is a scammer, a knowing scammer? Does he know he's scamming people?
See, that's something he'll never say.
It's an alchemical equipment.
Oh,
Right? I know. I fell in love with him with the torch. When I saw a torch, I was like, this dude definitely smokes pot.
Yeah, when I first saw the videos, I was like, oh, it just casually got a bong here. That's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it at first when I started live streaming. People started pointing out that
I don't know why. I mean, I guess just coming from California, I'm just like, no big deal.
Yeah.
You know why? Making a big deal about
it is legal.
Yeah.
And healthy. Healthy
I would say so too. I mean, whenever I have been high, I've always been extremely attentive to like my bodily, like my SI or something. Like that heightens up to a really high level.
Does it?
Yeah.
That's
and
so
I'm
interesting.
just like,
hey.
I never smoked a bong in a long time. I don't know how to do it.
If you don't feel comfortable, you can use my pipe.
Yeah, I think I would use the pipe better.
Okay.
Is that's okay?
Absolutely. Go right ahead.
Did you do more weight in it?
Yeah. Maybe one more little bud.
Okay.
Whatever you're comfortable with. Yeah. The card is at that end.
You put this in there like me, huh?
And inhale only as much as once you're comfortable. Yeah.
So just let go there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Popping fresh.
How you feel?
Popping fresh is popping up. Popping up like popping fresh.
Did you get it or is it clogged? Okay, good.
I just went that.
Hi, Winston's mom. I don't know if you heard, but Rachel and I were just discussing how and why
They probably still
you make me feel compassion towards C.S. Joseph.
Do you want us to keep that on the DL or?
We just let things be, and then I don't know, it's okay.
Let the chips fall where they may, and then ask the peacocks to come in and eat the chips. Best way to clean up spilled breadcrumbs.
Wait, has the peacocks came in here before?
No, it doesn't
No.
come with
I
socks.
was about to say that would be.
No, that is a no. That's where I draw the line.
That's where I. No,
You just
Rachel,
need-
you-
I'm sorry.
you have to accent the I. Try again.
That's where I draw the line.
Right. Thank
No peacocks and the nest.
you. Okay, fine.
Is that trouble? Is that trouble? The Great Candy?
No. I was just saying. I was imagining if the peacock came in from there, I'd just be like, they have no
I would
regard
chase
for
him
privacy.
out. No. I would chase him out. As much as I love Peter.
Here's the thing.
Seriously.
Peter, he has very long tail feathers right now, so if you let him in any place, he'll knock shit over. It's like,
Everywhere.
if you imagine there's those like comic scenes where a guy's holding a board and he turns and he hits one guy, and he turns back and he hits the other guy.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what it's like to be a peacock with a full head of feathers. He's got a long train behind him and he knocks shit over. It's hard for him to turn around. He's got to have like a big open space to turn around.
Yeah, I wonder if they ever think it's that is like inconvenient to have that really long. They're like, man, I really wish I was like a cat or a dog or something.
Right? That's a good question. One that we will know.
Is there some type of like evolutionary thing for them to have that long tail?
Well, it impresses the chicks.
Is it what?
It impresses the chicks.
Impresses the chick.
Oh, okay. Oh, so only the male peacocks are?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, the peahens have basically no back tails.
Email Anthrax is trying to slay your puss, Kyra.
Oh.
See?
Wait, I thought he had a girlfriend. Is there some type of
Oh, calling out!
His girlfriend must not
would
be
you like
listening
any
to
more?
this episode. Let me put this a little bit more in there if you want. The way it'd be green. Here, no, what are you doing?
Oh.
I'll put it in. You just
Oh.
put the pipe over here. Yeah, there, like that.
Yeah, long side is where you smoke from.
There you go. Yeah, it's Kyra. It's Curious Kyra. And coming up after Curious Kyra, we're going to have Curious George. If you're not familiar with Curious George,
That's his mom.
he's a monkey who lives with a guy in a yellow suit.
Is it going? Cool.
A little bit, but
So, I had Kyra played piano for a while in the earlier stream. And I recorded some of that, so maybe I'll even sample some little bits of her piano and do something with them. Then we chatted for a while. We had hamburgers. We chatted for a while off camera, and then we started talking about typology stuff. So I decided to start live streaming again.
Yeah.
Specifically, Kyra was discussing the very much not subject to the Eric Moline C.S. Joseph. I've already gotten a warning for that, so I don't want to even.
Yeah.
I don't even want.
I know you can't even.
Don't even. Yeah. Okay.
I thought what you had to say was very interesting, though.
Well, I
I
mean,
haven't watched him recently.
yeah, I've always just heard that claim whenever I watch something, and then the way he described the extroverted sensing, and he always proposed that if you're like playing an instrument or something, he would always propose that is an inherently only an SE thing to do. I don't know if he would say only, but he always claimed that it's primarily an SE type thing, and I always thought that was like suspect. Like that was a very like for lack of a better word, shallow. That was a kind of shallow way of putting it. It wasn't getting to the whole full extent of it. It's because I don't know. It was just relying too much on like your own senses, I guess, to come to a conclusion on it.
Too
I
simple.
don't know.
The other thing is he tends to justify his positions not by like saying, well, this is a better position because meow meow meow, but rather by saying where he got it from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he must have read that from some other source. I think. I don't know.
But that's the thing. It's like that's not a justification for a position to say, well, the reason you should believe this position is because this person says you should believe this position. No, it's not me. I'm not saying you should believe it. Joe over here wrote this important book. He's the one who's saying you should believe it. That's not a justification for anything. If you understood what
Still
Joe
bad.
said well enough, then you'd be able to explain it to me just as well as Joe can, you know? So it's like that's the biggest problem I think that C.S. Joseph is going to continually run afoul of with when talking to people about typology is he's going to try to provide these pseudo justifications that aren't justifications for anything. You can't justify why your position is right by pointing to the person who came up with the idea. That's an ad hominem argument. Not all ad hominem arguments are saying the person's bad, so we should ignore them. It's just as much of an ad hominem argument to say, well, this person's very important, so he must be right. Hi, Octavio Silva.
So would that primarily be like a kind of TE thing to do or something?
Yeah, it's a TE thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally TE.
What is?
To justify things by pointing to an expert source.
Right, and then claiming that as almost like gospel or something.
Well, playing this game. Look, I don't really understand it completely myself. It is kind of complicated. So go read Meow Meow, and then you'll understand it. Okay, well, if you don't understand it enough to explain it to me, why do you believe it?
That's the best question.
Right.
That is the question.
It is.
And he also he says that a lot of times, like I guess correctly about TE, but I don't think he notices that he's doing that, right?
He seems to have some sense of what TE is, but he seems to have a very poor sense of what extroverted intuition is. Obviously, a terrible sense of what it is.
Yeah, regarding the extroverted, like what would you say?
Extroverted intuition,
Oh, okay, yeah.
but also I think his understanding of introverted intuition is off. His understanding of intuition in general is way off.
Mm.
What is it? Extroverted sensing?
No, I'm saying he gets extroverted intuition very wrong.
Yeah, very.
And introverted intuition almost as wrong.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Is it like an oversimplification of it?
I mean,
Okay.
it's not even a simplification. He doesn't even have any concept of what extroverted intuition is. It's like
Yeah.
he doesn't understand it as being ideational, as being creative, or anything in a meaningful way. He sees it as just, I don't know. Obviously, he doesn't recognize extroverted intuition if he thinks I'm an ESTP. He doesn't have any idea what extroverted intuition is.
Yeah,
Right. Oops.
I want to see what they're saying. I can't really read it from here.
Oh, because of the small.
Yeah.
Right. You want to come sit over here? Or is it too crowded for you?
Yeah, you
Okay.
If you don't,
I
that's
will.
fine. You don't have to. If you don't, that's fine.
I know I wanted the bathroom.
All right, you do that. I agree with you, email the anthrax. I think in general, C.S. Joseph is probably.
And then I'll sit in the middle between you two.
All right, cool.
A couch party.
I think that by and large, C.S. Joseph isn't lying so much as confused and ill-equipped to know what's right or wrong in this area.
So
Is that something he says? Email anthrax? Is that his argument, or are you making that argument playing devil's advocate, or what? Because it's obviously a silly argument. Because if his type grid is successful at finding the thing it's looking for, then it needs to know what intuition is. It's like, okay, we say this is a metal detector, but it beeps whenever you cross over something plastic, so why should I think it's a metal detector? And he goes, well, listen, I'm not talking about what metal is or metal detectors are. I'm just using my metal detector to detect metal. No, you're not.
Yeah, so he's just like,
Right. Let's
that's-
not argue. I don't want to
so
argue
that's
about
just-
what a metal detector is or what metal is. I'm not
I'm
doing
just
that.
using this information.
I'm just using my metal detector to detect metal.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's like,
I mean, so,
I guess in a way, would you be able to even like, to even describe each function in like one word? Is because that's what he kind of does a lot of the time. So it's like, is that even possible
I mean, here's
to
the thing.
actually accurately do
You
that?
have to narrow the task down a bit. You can say, yes, you can describe each function in one word if you do it like this. Describe the primary value associated with any in one word. You could do that. So I could say, well, it's probably novelty.
Okay.
But it would be obviously an incomplete explanation of it. If I were to say, well, what's the process of extroverted intuition in one word? I'd say ideation. If I were to be asked, what's an example of a work product that's the consequence of an extended period of attention using extroverted intuition? I might say a live stream. Like this live stream is any work product. If I were asked, well, what's a behavioral correlate with extroverted intuition? Let's say a job correlate or something. You might say, well, the ideal any job would be improv comic or something, maybe.
Yeah, that's kind of what I would think too. Yeah.
Or maybe if you play an instrument, maybe improv musician.
Yeah.
So.
And then, so would you say like an avenue, like being a writer, would that necessarily be more of a any or ni, or is it just like?
Well, see, this is the
or
thing.
something?
Certain functions are well suited to certain kinds of tasks. Being a writer, you can get to in a number of different ways because, like the most popular book series of all time was written by an INFJ, which is Harry Potter. The most number of selling books per series anyway.
Yeah.
And is clearly taking one approach towards writing, which is to say she wants to tell as appealing and engaging and pleasing a story that can resonate with everybody on some archetypal level. In other words, she's trying to write a really good popular book. You could say there's other kind of good books that will necessarily not be popular. If I wanted to write
Do you think, or maybe she just enjoyed those imaginative characters and wanted to write that journey, to the end or something like that.
Okay, well,
but like I guess I was saying
that's fine.
I guess I was coming at it from like a more like truer angle. I guess if that would be FI or something,
Well, the thing is,
So
she has probably both angles on it. She has
Right.
the personalist, particularist angle, which is the SI-FI experience.
yeah, like
You could imagine yourself sitting down in front of a typewriter and each day getting a cup of coffee and typing a little bit more or something like that, right? We can all sort of picture ourselves doing that. And that's the particularist experience of writing. But she also has this conceptual notion of herself as an artist, probably, and a vision that is much more metaphysical and less linked to anything physical than that. And so, is the actual product the result of that vision rather than the particular stuff? That's not really possible to answer. But I think that as an INFJ, she probably has a more clear abstract vision of herself as an artist and as well, or she has a more clear abstract vision of the art as a universalist thing, then she's driven by her particular elements, probably. What did you read those books?
Yeah, I've read. I've only actually read like 1 through 3.
Did you enjoy them?
No, I read 1 through 3 and the last 2, but
Nice.
I haven't read Goblet of Fire or Order of the Phoenix, even though I.
When you start reading it, do you get like hooked into it and like can't put it down for hours? Or
Yeah, when I did read them, it was definitely It was definitely a lot of fun, and I do in general like that story.
do you write?
Do I? No, I don't. I normally hardcore anything music really. So in that sense, I'm a little boring. Like I guess in terms of like not having as many endeavors than most people, I guess, is because I guess I want to do a lot of stuff with music. So I guess I just intellectually know that, and in order to make that possibility more likely, I would have to be more focused, I guess, with my pursuits of what I do.
Well, there's only a finite number of hours you can.
Yeah, so I guess I just reasonably thought that. And
Yeah, I'm learning that you know you can't do everything you want to do, so you gotta kind of narrow your scope. It's hard because we do have a lot of ideas, but any people, but it's probably a wise decision for you to be focused on music as a medium.
Yeah, I just think, I mean, it's not even like I'm trying to do that. I guess I just get really locked into like what I'm doing, and I want to do so much with it that sometimes then like naturally I want to just do that, like stick to that. Although I am curious about so many different other things also, but I'm like just like reading like either that or like even like anything completely way out of that genre, like whether it be origin of species. I wanted to try to read a little bit of that, but just because I'm curious, or any type of other philosophical book, because at our house we have like a lot of philosophy books too.
Is
So-
assessing meanings and context related to NE? Okay, well, this is a complicated question, sort of, but yes, but not necessarily. It's more related to the metaphysicality of a type. The people who have two metaphysical functions, first and second slot, are the ones who are most into that kind of meta-analysis. So that's your INTPs, ENTPs, INFJs, ENFJs. ENFJs don't display it as much, or it's a more organic kind of meta-analysis or something. I'm not sure. It's been suggested to me that I replace ENFJs and the meta-analysts with INTJs, but INTJs aren't meta-analysts, they're analysts.
Yeah.
And so I don't quite fully understand the ENFJ meta-analyst aspect. I think it's so much manifest in FE stuff that it doesn't sound so much like meta-analysis as like philosophy stuff does, but it's still functionally the same thing, which is overanalyzing shit.
So how are you discerning from, or like how are you discerning that an INTJ isn't a meta?
I don't know, it's because so four of the functions are native to communication, and four of the functions are native to experience. The four that are native to experience are SE, TE, FI, and SI. The four that are native to communication are NE, FE, TI, and NI. So to say that somebody's a meta-analyst means my overarching frame is going to be one of intuitive novelty, and it's going to be processed through communicative defensibility, which means that I have a tendency to always frame up and try to find the most. In other words, to not address a question directly as a question being asked, but rather to analyze what it means to ask the question and what it might mean if one were to provide either of those answers. That's sort of the meta-analyst. The reason they're that way is they're very distant from experience. I don't like experience. Experience locks shit in. It takes me from the conditional realm to the causal realm. I like to delay decisions until I feel like there's time to make that decision. I don't mind taking kinds of actions for things that don't need a lot of decision making, but decision making is a slow process for me. I might think about something for a long ass time. I thought about buying an aquarium for a long ass time before I bought it. That's kind of SE shit that I'm very slow about. An analyst has a particularist function in their first two slots. So for INTJ, it's TE. TE is a experiential function because it's about whatever problem you're trying to solve. It has its own logic to it. It's not a communication logic. That would be FE. Communication logics are universal. But if I'm trying to fix this door, it's got its own logic. You got to look at this door and fix this problem with this knob. It can be broken in any number of possible ways. So that's what makes it particularist. And that's why INTJs are analysts, because they apply the universal truth to whatever their particular problem solving attention is.
Right. So there's a degree of action with them, right?
In other words,
as opposed to just just TINE.
right. It's not just an analysis for its own sake. It's in service of some kind of solvency.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you could call it meta if you wanted to give us names that. See, meta-analyst sounds like the coolest name, right? If you were to name the other way around, you could be like most useless. That would be meta-analyst, and then mostly useful sometimes is analyst, and then either useful or useless would be the executives, depending on where their environment is. And then lastly, the executors are always useful. They're the ones who actually do the things. So, it's like you don't have to get nice, flattering for me name. You could just call us the most useless of the group.
Me?
You're a meta-analyst too. Yeah, we're both.
I'm very useless. I've always known that.
Yeah. High five. High five on uselessness. Now you.
That's why
What about me?
You are. You're not as useless as we are. You are a. You are a executive, right? You're the weird executive. Just like ENFJ is the weird meta-analyst, you're the weird executive.
So what does that mean?
It means the other executives sound like they'd be executive types. ESTP is an executive. Who else is those? ENTJ is an executive. ESTP, ENTJ, those are executive types. The third one is another one that's ISFJ and INFP. Those are the executive types.
Is that part of the quadra?
No, they're executive types because they all start with a physical function and follow up with a metaphysical function. So FI, SI, SE, TE, those are the physical functions. The ones that start with those and then follow it up with a metaphysical function are executives.
What are some things that describe the executive types?
Well, the reason I call them executives is because You start with the particularist frame. This is what we're doing. And then they get abstract about how to do it. Okay? Whereas,
Do you agree with that?
Are you describing the weird executive?
I'm describing all the executives.
Oh,
Yeah, all the executives.
so INFP, is that like just one? Would that be weird executive, or is that?
Well, I call them a weird executive
Okay.
because they're SE polar.
Like,
SE polar, you think, how can an SE
That's pretty
polar person
funny.
be an executive?
Weird executive. I'm just picturing like what somebody,
Yeah.
some morally ambiguous executive, like, but he's like successful or something.
I think she's INFP. But the reason it's a weird executive is because executives should have a lot of SE, right? It's like to execute something is to do it. But you're SE polar. So that's what makes you a weird executive. Because why would you be an executive if you are polar in the execute function?
True, right. Can you delegate well then?
I mean, the point of it is she may not. The point to remember is there's two kinds of action functions. So what she's doing is she's executing her feelings with extroverted intuition. She's not executing with extroverted sensing. So
That's really crazy.
and most executives, you think of organized like a group, executing something for a group. But INFP executes for themselves. They execute their own feelings with their extroverted intuition. And that's what makes them a weird executive. Whereas ESTPs are likely to execute a plan that involves some other people, ENTJs as well, ISFJs as well, even though the scope of their dominion is more like the home and hearth. But still,
They're still the executive.
there's still the executive role there.
So
You could say that ENTJs execute large organizations, ESTJs execute within organizations, ISFJs execute familial-sized organizations,
okay.
and INFPs execute themselves.
So would you say that like all ISFJs could be categorized as like the home executive, like all of them?
Or that
Like,
scope of kingdom. Okay, that
Yes.
scope and scale of kingdom
Okay.
doesn't necessarily have to be the home. Maybe they're a secretary.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But that
Yeah, whatever
scale
they
and scope
continue
of
to be
kingdom,
home.
yes, I would say
Yes.
all of them have that as a small scale and scope of their ontological kingdom.
I
Something
feel
they
like
think
home is a real big place.
it is a big place for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The more frequently they are, the more they consider home. So
Home to
like,
finger ratio.
say one is a nurse.
We got 5-1.
And they probably worked there
5
forever.
What does it mean? I don't know.
The
Sorry, go ahead.
the second home is the hospital that they work at. But they still have home most.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, the point of the idea here is how broad is the scope of the executive's feelings of responsibility? ENTJ is going to have the broadest scope of responsibility. They're going to think, I'm capable of, want to, and ought to execute a company's vision for a whole company or something, or be president even, execute the country's vision. But to execute their own vision, but on a very large scale, compared to ESTJ, which is much more middle management style executive, compared to ISFJ, which is much more like home executive, or I don't know what's below middle, like small management executive. And then INFP is about themselves. They're executing their own vision about expressing themselves, But mostly it's just people on the internet.
I wonder if that's part of like the astrological palm reading type thing. The
What?
measuring everyone's palmed finger ratio.
Oh, wait.
It's 1 to
Would
5.
please
It's
measure
one palm
everyone's
for every
palm?
5 fingers.
Do you mean like physically, or because I do people said I have really long
My-
fingers.
Palm is bigger than my fingers. My fingers are shorter than my palm.
My palm are bigger than my finger, I think, but I have long fingers, so it's
See,
like
but that's what you mean. Like you just
yeah.
So like I take the size of my palm, and then I measured it against the longest finger, and my palm is definitely bigger than my fingers.
Yeah, me too. So I was just wondering, is that like palm reading or something? Like, what is that?
Yeah, I think she's trying to do palm
Oh,
reading.
Yeah.
Yes, they are also executing their own vision, but the difference
Very
is,
long.
Yeah, definitely.
They are-
Hairy.
I'm even thinking.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I'm even thinking that like perhaps playing a lot of instruments somehow factored into the actual palm growth of all of the
it's just,
hands.
it's just
Yeah,
that
because
Because,
has long fingers too.
Yeah, and also some of like my students who or one student I have, like she's actually a friend of mine. She's only like 12, and she has hands like me.
Wow.
Like, and she's been playing piano for like a little over a year or something close to like that.
Yeah, I think
So
you're right.
I'm like, is that particularly the growth happens like and the body sees that it's trying to do this or something? I don't know.
That's an interesting way of looking at
And
it.
then the hands grow, just like how is it genetics that like a basketball player end up growing so
Longer.
tall, or is it because
I
they were
think-
exercising, jumping, and all the other things? I mean, it's probably a mix of genetics and perhaps also a nurturing part of it. I think.
Well, I do believe that having longer fingers does make it easier to play instruments, because I do know a lot of people who play guitar and piano easily, who have long fingers and longer very lithe hands, lithe and limber fingers in particular. I think it just makes it easier to press down and to move the fingers around.
Yeah.
I want to answer this question about ISFPs. Are they executing their own vision? First of all, the notion that ISFPs are especially creative or arty is false. That's not the case. They are, I would say, spiritual, kind of.
Who?
ISFPs. I don't really think they're very arty or expressive of themselves. They're not into self-expression. To the extent that they do make art of some kind or music, for example, it's not so much executing they're not executing vision per se. In at least in
What?
and like this, like ISFPs will be into photography.
Oh
So bleak.
They like to take photos. And ISFPs like to take a photo.
So
Here's the
cool.
example: the difference between an executor and an
I
executive.
don't know what he's talking about.
Here's the difference between an executor and an executive. An ISFP will see in front of them something in the world that they know they have to take a picture of. They'll take a picture of it. A INFP will paint with their ideas, like Raul y Diego. And so, in other words, it's about self-expression expressing yourself into the world if you're an INFP. If you're an ISFP, it's about taking from the world to generate things that then become expressive of you. And it's a different angle. And that's what makes them executors, is because they're not executing a vision, really. They're, you might see it in music some, and then it's NI, but they're not trying out ideas. They're, yeah.
Is that why a lot of them are art teachers?
Right, because they see it as experiential, like the process, or like the character in that movie we saw, the player. There's this lady, right? And she's a painter. Huh?
ISFP, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the guy says, "Well, where do you show? What gallery do you show at?"
Yeah.
And she says, "I don't show. What would be the point?" I go, "Well, why do you do it then?" And it's just to do the process is why I do it. So if it's an experiential process, then and you find that to be gratifying, That's executor. If it links to some something on a metaphysical plane, then it's executive. Either for like an ENFJ, I mean an ENTJ, it links where first they're dealing with solvency, but it needs to be communicatively true. That's NI. Communicatively graceful is FE. Communicatively defensible is TI. Communicatively novel is NE.
Squirrel.
Oh.
So cute.
I wonder what
Squirrels.
was he trying to do?
I don't know.
He looks like he's scheming.
Yeah,
no,
he
there,
really does.
there's
There's
two of them
two of them.
actually. So
I think you're right.
and they're like wagging their tail like a dog. It's like they're happy or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
The idea that nature and nurture are
What's
different
up,
is an
Sam
illusion.
Smith?
No, it's definitely not an illusion, Chris Chapman. We know this because all you have to do is raise twins very differently, and you'll be able to generate one with serious psychological problems and borderline personality disorder and all kinds of other stuff, and want to be perfectly healthy because it does matter a great deal how if you have a good enough mother or parent during the certain formative years.
Yeah, formative.
I'm not a prophet, Cloud. That prophets predict the future, I think. What do prophets do, actually? Do they have a specific verb that they do?
I thought it was.
They prophesize, right? Yeah, they prophesize. Yeah, I'm not a future predictor. I'm a casual future predictor. Like, I'll make my predictions, my guesses, and sometimes I'm right and sometimes I'm wrong, but I'm not
That's
using any magic.
intuition.
Yeah, it's just using intuition.
Mm.
Do you think it's magic?
What's that?
Like prophecy.
I'm inclined to believe that it is possible, definitely, of some sort. Whether it be, is it just seeing trends and then deciding that, or is it a purely like it came out of nowhere,
It
like,
can be both, too.
or what is exactly inspiring a prophetic vision or something? I don't know.
It's true.
I don't.
Yeah, I know. I agree. I remember back in 2011, I was with my aunt and one of my mirrors broke, and she said, 7 years of bad luck. And I was like, why are you putting that on me?
Hmm.
You know, like,
Hmm.
just assume the person already knows, okay? And really, actually, it was, I had some pretty damn hard years.
Okay, well, nobody's disputing the fact that genetics are a thing, Aaron. It's absolutely the case that there is nature. Nature is half of the equation, or perhaps even more. And in a lot of ways, I tend to agree with your prioritizing nurture over nature because I know that,
It's just you sometimes.
for example,
read it and you gotta
my
be
second
like,
wife was a big lady,
It's
right?
on the camera
She was a chubby lady, my
They
second
had
wife.
it when
She and I ate the same amount of food. If anything, I ate more food than she did. So it just shows you that it's about genetics, not behavior most of the time. I agree with you. In general, nurture is overstated as an influence and nature is understated. That was in response to Aaron.
Who? What is he up to?
He was like, make your point already or something. It was just pretty funny.
To Eric?
No, it's someone else.
Oh.
Chris Chapman.
Yeah,
Chris
unless
Chapman.
who's Chris Chapman. Yeah. Have you heard? That name sounds familiar, but I think I'm thinking of Charlie Chaplin.
That's a pretty good way to put it.
Yeah, that's probably
Isn't he like a? Wasn't he like a?
Go ahead, Chris Chapman.
Yeah,
Come on, Chris Chapman. We're all waiting for you.
it's funny
Who
too.
is that?
Make your point.
Charlie Chaplin definitely.
Yeah, Charlie
was it.
Chaplin.
Mhm.
Yeah, not Chapin. I never heard of Chapin. Well, the only
Chapin.
person I heard similar to that name is Frederick Chopin, but he's that's spelled with an O.
Oh.
So
Whenever
Fun
I go
fact,
skiing, my lips
my
be Chapin.
sister went out with a Christian Chapin.
mm.
Yeah.
Chapin?
And Chapin.
Oh, okay.
Chafin and
Yeah,
Chapin.
Chris
Chapin, how do you
Chapin.
say that? Yeah.
And that's how I know his name. She exactly like the same name. She went out with the guy with the name Chris Chapin. And he's
Chafin and Chapin is a good name for a legal firm.
yeah, that is.
It's a little like, is it just gonna be Chapin or is there like another name? to
Right,
it? Like-
Chafin and with an apostrophe and Chapin.
I really like those. I really like those banks. So you know the banks when you go like down that one freeway and then you see that bank or like a 10 I think is over there and then they say like preferred bank or something. Have you ever seen a game like that? It's
No.
like there's obviously like a joke in there or something. It's just like it's like preferred bank. It's like how'd you end up deciding that like who's preferring this bank
Exactly.
or something like that? Like
You know,
it's,
there's a store down here,
it's
a
just called
Chinese
it's just
store.
called preferred bank. Yeah, it's weird.
But there's a Chinese store down here called Master Wong's Magical Healing Energy. I've always wanted to go there.
I want to go there too now.
Master Wong's Magical Healing
Yeah.
Energy. I wonder in what units he sells it. Do you buy it by the pound? Do you buy it by is he embedded into a wand or something? Hi, Levi Samuels. We're talking about Master Wong's Magical Healing Energy. 1874, Sir Francis Galton publishes English Men of Science, Their Nature and Nurture, his ideas about the dominance of heredity factories in intelligence character at the beginning of the eugenics movement. Yeah, people will tend to use differences between people to justify eugenics arguments if you are in the 19th century.
Eugenics.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't eugenics like the surgical things on the brain?
No, eugenics is saying, okay, people shouldn't be allowed to breed because you're not of high quality enough stock
Yeah.
like that, you know?
That's what eugenics is. Wow.
Oh, then what am I thinking of? You know what I'm thinking of? Like the little surgical pursuits that some of the doctors that you would assume they did back in the day.
Trepanation.
I'm thinking of
Oh,
no, I'm thinking of like
lobotomy.
lobotomy.
Yeah, that they had. You know, Kennedy.
That was
That's what the Kennedy daughter. They had a Kennedy daughter that had a lobotomy.
Can you imagine if they wait? Isn't that pursuit like illegal now?
Yeah, they can't do
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
What if they brought that back? It's just
Oh my-
like the medical side of things is just going downhill. It's like,
Wow, that is going down.
Are you guys familiar with trepanation?
Wow, talk about regression. Wow. Let's just hope
yeah,
that.
we're talking about
You know what is amazing
Jeez.
though? But
tripping.
oh my gosh, please no.
Okay. So,
They
trepanning.
somehow thought that they
Oh,
thought
I've
that
seen that picture before.
so like I don't
Yeah, I've seen it on like a subreddit
Oh
called
my-
Tripping Through Time. Have you heard of that?
know.
That subreddit?
No.
Yeah, they always have these ancient or
Tripping Through Time.
like these other like photos, and then they like make a scenario or a meme out of it.
That's an incredible
so
picture.
funny.
Yeah,
It
I mean,
is.
I've seen that picture.
That dude is like
so
like,
weak.
oh my god,
It's
patience
so weak.
face.
It's like
I mean, what a wacky picture.
And
This
the
guy's got a thing on his head. He's still got a book
yeah.
on his
So
head.
imagine if the artist. Okay, so he's depicting it. He's not there, but imagine if he was actually there and he painted it like.
I know.
All right, so I'm going to read a little
I
bit of
think
this,
he did.
okay? Trepanning, also known as
I
trepanation,
think.
trepanation, trepining, or making a
I
burr
think,
hole,
yeah, you may
is a
have
surgical
that.
intervention in which a hole is drilled or
Okay, you
scraped
had
into the human
some
skull.
things depicting, yeah.
The intentional perforation exposes the
No,
dura
this
matter
is
to treat
weird,
health
right?
problems related to intracranial diseases or release
Ugh.
pressured blood buildup from injury. In ancient time, holes were drilled into a person who was behaving in what was considered to be an abnormal way to let out evil spirits. Evidence of trepanation has been found in prehistoric humans. Trepanations appear to be the most common in areas where weapons that could produce skull fractures were used. The primary theories for the practice of trepanation include spiritual purposes and treatment for epilepsy, headache, head wound, and mental disorders. So you have a headache? Here, let me drill a hole through your skull.
It's so.
Let's see.
Yeah, it really is.
So like wow, that's crazy that that's like a real skull. So that had to happen. It's just like unless
Right? Yeah. That's physical.
really. So the guy had to dig that up, and he saw that. Like, okay, so this was being preserved in the ground, in the dirt, likely not being impacted by whatever thing is going on in the dirt. So he just
True.
concludes that it was an instance of this old school lobotomy or something.
Yeah.
The practice of trepanning
Yeah,
also
sure.
continues today due to belief in various pseudoscientific medical benefits. Some proponents claim that trepanning results in increased blood flow. Individuals who practice non-emergency trepanning for psychological purposes. A prominent proponent of the modern view is Peter Halverson, who drilled a hole in the front of his own skull to increase brain blood volume. One of the most prominent advocates of trepanning was Dutch
Nice.
librarian Bart
Oh, yeah.
Hughes. In 1965, he drilled a hole in his head and claimed it increased his brain blood volume.
You know, it's like, what do you?
He and his girlfriend then
In
made
his
several
own
comic
skull.
books in the 1970s promoting
He
trepanation.
did it in his own skull to increase brain blood volume. How's that working out?
It obviously, no, it worked great. Obviously,
Look
but
at look him up.
before he did that, he hadn't made any comic books
How's
about
that
the
working?
promotion of
Okay.
trepanation. After he did it, he made several.
He made several.
Yes.
Oh wow, that's pretty some interesting information here.
They were going to trepan this English woman to treat her depression in Utah, and they were arrested. Oh, they did perform it. They were prosecuted for practicing medicine. I want to know if it worked, though. I want to know if it worked.
Imagine, don't you know the one channel like the Dr. Oz or something? That channel that's out on like the basic cable.
Yeah,
It's
Dr.
like-
Oz, yeah.
And yeah, what if he just started introducing lobotomy on one episode?
Are you
He's
serious?
he's trying
Oh my
Can you
god.
imagine like he's trying to bring like lobotomy back?
Hey, you know, I think we did away with this too soon.
Yo, no. People do have influence like that. Like this really popular guy on YouTube. Actually, forget about YouTube. Kim Kardashian, she like showed one of these medical procedures that she does, and it's like basically you get the blood sucked out of your face. There's like tons of needles, and then they suck the blood, like the blood drains from your face, so you look younger. I'm like,
Yeah,
wow,
I
that's
think I've heard of that,
disgusting.
Yeah,
And that's so archaic, you know? Like,
it's
oh.
yeah, definitely. Okay.
And
That's so crude.
yeah, it is. You know that's what I wonder.
Do personality types have colors? Email anthrax asked. And if so, what color are they?
Would it be okay if I don't use the restroom?
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, we just use the one you went to before.
Okay.
I think INFJs are pale blue.
Oh, thanks, baby.
INTPs are dark green.
That's a nice combo.
INFPs are deep purple. ENFPs are periwinkle. ENTPs are yellow.
INTPs are green.
INTPs.
Oh, INTPs are green.
ENTPs are yellow. ENFJs are orange. ENTJs are burgundy. ESTPs are like silver. ISTPs are silver. ISTPs are silver. ESTPs are gold. Not actually the element, but rather the color. let's see. What other ones have we done? Oh yeah, INTJs are gray. ISFPs are beige. And ESFPs are multicolored splatter. Which ones have I not done? Any of them?
ESTJ?
ESTJs, they're brown.
ISTJ?
No, ISTJ is brown. ESTJ is ESTJ is it's like camo army green, olive colored.
I think we got all the colors.
I think we.
ESFJ and ISFJ.
Oh yeah, ESFJ and ISFJ. Okay. ESFJ is pink, and ISFJ is
Lavender?
periwinkle, I think.
No, ENFP had for.
I had ENFP periwinkle. Lavender's too close to periwinkle.
Oh.
So then I'm gonna say what are we talking about? Which
ISFJ?
ISFJ? I would say it's like they have more of a texture than a color. It seems like. But let me think about it. What other color? No, not magenta. Rust is it's not a bad color for them, but you know,
What about ivory?
ivory, off-white. They're off-white.
Cream?
Cereal. Maybe.
Syria!
They're blanched oatmeal. Whiter than oatmeal.
Oatmeal? That's good.
Whiter than oatmeal. They're blanched oatmeal.
Oh, blanched oatmeal. That sounds like a very warm sweater color.
The color for ISFJ is blanched oatmeal.
Yep. That's a nice color. That's a warm eggshell. Whenever I hear eggshell, it reminds me of Sex and the City because there's an episode where Carrie is waiting for a phone call from Mr. Big, and she decides to spend her time recoloring her kitchen because she just needs to occupy her time, and she's between the color eggshell or ecru.
Email Anthrax, I gotta come clean. My butthole is actually electric blue. I was mistaken in thinking that the color that my butthole is, I thought that was called periwinkle. We looked it up. Periwinkle is actually kind of like a light lilac color.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is. But more blue, I would say.
But it's not the same color my anus.
My bag is the color.
That's the color of my anus.
Yeah.
Right there.
This one right here?
Mhm.
Yes. That's where
the color of the
I remember
anus.
the day Michael Kors came to my house to look at my anus to design that purse.
Right?
He wanted to
Yeah,
make
I
sure
mean,
the
I've
color
heard
matched.
that he's been engaging. He's been doing that lately.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of. I've heard that he was very understanding about the many different colors that he saw.
Well, all the designers know if you want a true electric blue, there's only one source of the standard that all electric blues try to match. That's my butthole.
I like how you say my butthole with such conviction, baby.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of have to say it with conviction. Like you have to.
You do.
When you
You
talk
own
about
it,
matters like
right?
this, you have to.
If you are
You
going
have to
believe
lay
in
it
your
all out
butthole, who
there.
is?
Like, it's there's no other way.
He didn't lie. He was misinformed.
I was just wrong with the name of the color.
Yeah.
No, the reason my butthole is blue like that is because every time I poop well, my butthole puts a coat of blue porcelain over my anus as a reward. Gradually, over time, it's built up. It evolves. It's an evolutionary trait. Someday your children will have that too.
That's why you're so protective of it.
Uh-huh. Porcelain's easy to break. You don't want, when I have a sharp poop, it's like fingers crossed.
Anthrax is gone.
Yeah, and like the different colors do have like different meanings.
They
Like
do.
I remember that like if you have a lot of very like almost goldish color, like if you have that around that area, then you're more likely to get into heavy gambling.
Also, if your anus is pinkish
Yeah.
gray, it means you're evil. Oh wait, no, I that's not true. That was something else. That must be a different color. I was thinking of. Don't worry, if your anus is pinkish gray, you're not evil. That's fine. If it's grayish pink, you're not evil either. Okay. Just accept the fact that you just don't have the kind of butthole that a designer is likely to go look at their butthole for a color, because if they were to look at your butthole to find a color, they'd have to be looking for the color anus. And that's not a good color to design something. Nobody wants pinkish gray, grayish pink.
No.
Well, running
clothes.
fox, when it's like a fruity pebble color, that means that you're almost like a blank slate. Like you're kind of free to engage in that type of behavior. If you're kind of just one serious color, then you were chosen to do a certain thing.
Right. But if you're multi, then it means you can choose your own parachute.
Yeah.
What's a wrong typology notion? That extroverted means the same thing as objective. That's a wrong typology notion.
That SE means you're good at guitar.
Or sport. That's either not necessarily.
Yeah, or sports, yeah.
So like if you're good at SC, you're extremely gifted at walking very well.
Right.
It's just like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Each
you're
leg moving in perfect stride.
Yeah,
You
right,
are-
right.
At the
You
right
are
moment,
less likely to
it's
bump into
like,
shit, though. You are less likely to bump into shit if you're an SE.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah.
Another wrong typology notion. Who asked me this question?
Jake Hurwitz right there. He asked you that question.
Oh, right, Jake Hurwitz. Well,
I'm gonna clear this and then I guess we'll put new stuff in if you'd like.
Jake, that your mom's face is an ENFP. Not true. Maybe the rest of her is, but not her face.
Wait, so running fox, how are you concluding that NI doms have lots of bruises? Oh, probably because they're running into stuff, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
they do,
yeah.
actually. Rachel is always finding.
I tend to trip a lot.
You know what email that
Like,
says? Not only did you get the color right, that's also its shape. It has those little stabby bits.
Wow,
in it.
yeah, that's a great emoji.
yeah, where'd you get this? It's like a vortex emoji? Like,
Yeah.
If you hover over what it says, host Eric's anus.
whoa.
Oh no, it doesn't say. Never mind.
Anything.
Oh, wait, you thought that the people who made that emoji put that in there?
Well, I figured they had to look at my butthole to get the color so right.
Oh, okay. Well,
Otherwise,
that's
how would they have
totally
known?
They
You know?
did though.
Explanation.
Yeah, they got
I mean,
it just right.
oh wait, it was probably Michael Kors. He probably posted public videos.
You're right.
Right?
How did you know that?
Kors.
Maybe I ran into it. That's some-
About music.
That's the last time I trust that. person.
Michael Kors is now like, God damn it. All my designs.
You know, the first song that Nicki Minaj was famous for is still her very best song. It is Bottoms Up. It's a song in which she says, "You couldn't get with Michael Kors if you was fucking Michael Kors." You know that one?
No idea. I don't listen. I never heard. I don't think I've ever heard a Nicki Minaj song actually.
Hmm.
But I'm not even trying to say that in like an arrogant way. I just never have.
Thank you, Zandy.
Yeah.
Thank you. You can sign my change.org
Maybe I
petition.
have.
demanding that Michael Kors apologize for using my butthole without my
Right?
permission to make an emoji on YouTube.
I thought he like made you sign something.
No, I made him sign something. You think it's not cheap to look at my butthole? It costs $12,000
Oh, I see.
for 30 seconds.
I mean, yeah. I mean, he did specifically fly like around the world to meet you specifically for that. 20
I had to
minutes
stop.
or
No,
5
30
minutes
seconds. That's all he got. He gets 30 seconds. That's it. Yeah, 30 seconds, Kors. Give me my 12 grand.
I don't even know. Like, I didn't even know.
Mm.
I just like the color of the bag, and like it goes right back to your butthole.
Mm-hmm. And
Yes.
now,
And
I
of
guess
course,
I guess that's an aspect of it could be some type of fake or something.
right?
you know,
That's
a lot of
magic.
times when we're
Yeah.
leaving the house, she'll go for her purse and she'll accidentally grab my butthole instead. Looks the same.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Like,
he
it's
must
just like
have
catching a
put
fish.
that out there because now it's like the actual
Mhm.
color. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
No, not super base. Yes, we are always matching. When she's wearing that bag, she doesn't always wear that purse. Sometimes she wears a different purse.
Yeah.
Or
My
just
little-
that thing. Not
Yeah.
a purse, a knapsack or whatever you call
Yeah,
it.
it's a knapsack. It's more of a like satchel.
A satchel. Nice. I'm not talking super base. I'm talking bottoms up. Bottoms up. Bottoms up. Pockets
Is it-
full of
is
beef.
it-
She's
Bottoms up.
featured
Bottoms
on
up.
it. It's not her song.
Bottoms up. Bottoms up.
She went to LaGuardia High School, which was like a music. It's a big time music school in New York.
Blowing my
But
butthole.
also,
what, Juilliard?
No.
no, LaGuardia.
Oh, who is that?
LaGuardia is, it's
That's a high
actually
school.
an airport in New York, yeah, and they have like a prestigious art school too, which is so odd to me because it's like an airport school. But I associate it with the airport. That's the only reason why I call it the airport school. But really, it is
okay.
this prestigious art school, and what's her name? What's her name?
Nicki Minaj.
Yeah.
Nicki Minaj went there. Yeah, she like flaunts that she went there.
I didn't even know she went to a music school. That's interesting.
Yeah, she did. She did.
Okay, so I'd like to diversify our business here at LaGuardia Airport. I'm looking into maybe go having helicopter pads, maybe some
You
dock
think-
landings or something. Well, any ideas out there? Anybody got an idea how we can diversify? Open an art school?
Yeah, and you really like it's a high school. It's a high school. There another like a bunch of like actors and actresses have graduated from there because it's like a prestigious school for people who are art, so who are
That's
into art.
interesting.
Yeah. Like Juilliard, New York State, like New York's whatever. Yeah, Juilliard, that's where you go, but
Well, there's also like Manhattan School of Music. That's the
Yeah.
other one in there. Or just any type of school, but we're talking about like
the high school, yeah, it's a high school.
Vegan and vegetarian pickle lines. I want to paint you green and spank you like a disobedient avocado. Interesting.
I think I heard that one before, to be honest.
Really?
No, I was joking. I was making like a scenario. It was just like, yeah, I think I heard that quite often.
How do you like your avocados is an interesting pickup line in general. You go up to a girl and be like, hey, how do you like your avocados? She's going to be unsure what you mean. Why are you asking me about it? Well, do you like them steamed? Turned into guacamole? Just straight out of the skin? It's always good to start picking up my chick by confusing her right out the gates.
I like it with toast. Avocado toast is like so popular
really-
now.
Avocado. Oh, right, yeah. I mean, I've only had that once. It was at an airport.
Or, approach her with, hey, have you had any toast today? It's a good pickup line, right?
Yeah.
Because she's going to think, did I? No. Oh, it's too bad. Would you like some? And you pull a piece of toast out of your pocket. That's
It's like, how do you like misbehave? Like, so like avocados, I guess they do have some type of moral compass that they're supposed to adhere to, and
well, they have a
guess they
teleological duty. They have a teleological duty to produce fruit.
they're actually far more sentient than we assume them to be.
Avocados, yeah. This avocado tree has been giving us.
You have an avocado tree?
Yeah, right
Yeah,
here.
right
It's the tree right there. But it has this fungal infection. I'm trying to get it out. And when I finally went in at it with the boring bit today, it was quite a bit I had to bore out. There's a lot of infected wood in there, but I think I got it all. And I torched it with the propane torch. And I packed in. I took ash from the barbecue, which also has like grease in it, and I put some water in there, mixed it all together, and just pushed it into there.
It looks natural.
We'll see if it works. Hopefully it does.
Our pine tree and pot leaves are doing well. There was an avocado actually that we got from the other avocado tree they have. It's like ripening.
So way more avocado. I mean, you just have a bunch. Like, I mean, I guess you can never get enough of that.
Right? I never knew either.
I wasn't.
Oleoxin free. That means you can stop hiding.
You like your avocados with guns?
The game of hide and seek is over when you hear the expression oleoxin free. Why? Why that expression? How did that come to be the expression, I wonder? Who made that up?
Avocado with guns.
That sounds French.
I've only seen that like a few times, like an avocado like packing heat, I guess, with a gun. I've only seen that like a few times, but whenever I did, it was definitely it was an event. It just was.
It's so funny.
I'm going to Google oleoxin free right now and find out the etymology of it. Oleoxin free. Where does the phrase oleoxin free come from? General consensus is that oleoxin free is a mutation of something like all ye come out in free. All ye come out in free, oleoxin free. Meaning back 4 centuries ago when we had the first known games of hide and seek, anyone still hiding can come back without getting tagged. All ye out coming free. All ye out coming free. Oleoxin free. That's cool. That's interesting.
Yeah, that is. Thanks for referencing that. Alright, I'm gonna get all this shardy weed out of here, and then we'll pack a bowl.
Oh yeah, it's a bad fungus. Word mumbler. I googled it and found it's like the nice thing is its symptoms and appearance are quite specific, such that it was very clear this is exactly what my tree had, you know, and it's called some kind of canker. Anyway.
So it seems like you had quite the eventful day, Taylor. But I think if that homeless man was tailing you at some point, that would have probably made it a little more interesting.
Or if instead of the problem with your lunch being too raw, that it was that his penis was in it.
Yeah, either that.
That would be even worse.
For you to get your own lunch when you bought it, the cashier had to just flash you that. Yeah. And you had to bear witness to that before you got here.
Before I shall serve you, bear witness unto this. And he just flopped it out on
Yeah, I mean,
the counter
he
there.
kind of might need to do that. Like,
Ollie oxen free.
right? It's just it's a priority of that guy selling you that sandwich. He had to have that done by the day, or he wouldn't have been felt fulfilled.
I was no sandwich at the Poke Bowl.
Can I have the weed, please?
Yes, darling.
Do
Yes.
you have any more gum? More gum? More gum?
Do I have more
Billy
gum?
I have some
Madison.
gum
No.
actually.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I would.
No, let me see.
I like gum.
Yeah, me too. I chew a lot of gum.
Do you?
Yeah, sometimes if I'm like on the stream or just like do you want some here?
No, thank you. Gum makes me go werewolf.
So
At least you have
what's a
uniform
werewolf?
on.
Well, it's basically I have lycanthropy, except instead of turning into a werewolf when there's a full moon, it's when I chew gum. What's a lesser known form of lycanthropy? Shampoo is better. Maybe it's shampoo that washes right out.
Shampoo is better. Oh, shampoo is better. From
Maybe it's shampoo. But, yeah, that
Billy
wasn't it.
Madison.
That's in The Simpsons.
Oh.
When Bart gets the gum in his hair, and he tells Marge, and she goes, maybe it's shampoo. That washes right out.
Oh, shampoo.
It's funny, of course, because it's impossible to mistake gum in your hair for shampoo.
Oh yeah, Billy Madison.
I mean, not unless like the shampoo was like its temperature was so altered that it turned into a very dense solid, and then you like in order to apply the shampoo you needed like a hammer of sorts and
Yeah,
to break it
shampoo
apart.
into your hair.
Yeah.
Young, dumb, and full of gum. Indeed, Sandy. That was the title of my video
Thanks,
in which I warned everybody about the risk of swallowing your gum. Because what people came to learn that day was that the 7 years they thought was missing a zero. 70 years it stays in your belly. 1.5 sevenths and rising. 1.5 over 7 and rising. Is that the barometric pressure?
We learned that the higher the barometric, the higher the barometric pressure, the
sweeter
colder
the
it is.
juice. Oh, no, right. That's a different one. The higher the barometric pressure, the colder it is. Is that what we learned? We looked it up on the phone the other day. Carla's got some
the
gum.
colder it is. The higher the barometric pressure, the colder it is. So, like in Antarctica,
Yeah.
it's the barometric pressure is really high.
What is existentialism?
Yeah. So, like, in Antarctica, you kind of had to chew gum, like very often, or they would like come by and absolutely destroy your igloo.
But I forgot you spent much of your life in Antarctica.
Yeah, it was quite.
And you were a penguin herder, if I remember correctly.
Hey,
Well, the penguins kept bothering me. Like I would wake up, in the igloo, and then there would be like 30 penguins or so around my bed, and they would be
Serenading you?
They would be attempting to, but
Squawk, 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 squawk,
But it
squawk,
was a little
squawk,
difficult.
squawk.
Mm-hmm.
That's how penguins sound. Hello, Murney. Who's Murney? I don't know.
I'm gonna have to the gum.
Oh, true.
Existentialism is a failed 90s Friday night sitcom with Jim Belushi. Existentialism, I mean, it's hard to say what it is, really. It's sort of pointless artiness, mostly, I guess. Does anybody tell me the central theme of it?
Stuff, but I don't.
But as a philosophy, I'm saying, what's the central theme of it philosophically? Like, what's its main argument that it's making?
It's a metaphysical misunderstanding of what's going on in your world.
So
that causes some sort of like anguish. Mm-hmm.
In other words, it's claiming that the map's wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. I wonder what the internet says.
So why would people be happy that I throw out my gum? Am I committing a violation?
Because Eric said that if you swallow your gum, it stays in your system for 7 years.
70.
But you know, I
70.
kind of like having my gum inside my body, like staying in there. So I would be doing other people a disservice by doing that.
Yeah, then you would.
But here's the thing, James. You say it's not an argument, it's a teaching. So what's it teaching, though? Well, it has to have positions it's stating, right? Of some sort. It's, even history is teaching positions of some sort, like this happened on this date rather than this other date. Or this general did a poor job in this battle. Or something, So what's the teaching of a teaching is giving info? Well, what do you think it is? I mean, what do you mean by a teaching? You're the one who used the word. Learning what, though, is what I'm saying. You keep avoiding the simple question. Helping the learning, but learning what? Existentialism is trying to overcome nihilism. Okay, that's not.
I don't know. Sometimes the things Cloud says does seem nihilistic in a sense, but I haven't talked with him to know his complete viewpoint to find out if it's nihilistic. But.
Okay, so James.
Sometimes you need an outsider.
If existentialism helps you to learn everything, then what is the mechanism by which it helps you to learn everything?
No, I think it's 7D, right? It's 70 years.
70 years.
Yeah, I thought it was 7.
If it were 7, we could all put it in 7 years.
Yeah, I heard 7 as
70 is a long time.
70 is a long time.
Existentialism is a philosophy that explores existence that is subjective to human experience, not focused only on thought and feelings, etc. What do you mean it's a philosophy that explores? So what's its position? Why can't nobody answer me any question that's meaningful? Meaningfully answer any question about this thing.
In what way is
I didn't?
would you say?
Well, you actually have the best answer.
Nihilism is
Thank you.
primitive.
Sorry, I forgot about that. You're talking philosophy in general, but I'm asking you what existentialism is. I'm saying, and what was your explanation again?
It's basically like you're having metaphysical, like a misunderstanding of what is happening in your world. It's a crisis.
Okay, so that's a position. It's saying basically that your ontological distress sources from a problem with the map. That's a position. She actually answered the question.
That's actually an interesting scenario proposed by Winston's mom. If everyone ends up going to jail for illegally downloading music, I hope they split us up by music genres. That's pretty cool.
That's an INTJ thing to say. That's an INTJ thing to say.
Yeah, it is. It's such an INTJ. It starts with the universal knowledge, the universal realm of conditionality. If this idea, and then it follows up with solvency, we'll do this. Oh, Kitty wants it. Oh no, it's not Kitty. Okay.
So wait, who are you? Can you imagine? You open it, wait, it's not Kitty. Wait, who are you?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know.
That would be so sketchy.
That is, especially because it's like behind you.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
But Kitty does knock, and she knocks really loud. Like you would think it was. Sometimes you would think it was a person who knocks so loud.
Or a Sasquatch.
Yeah, it's just like, oh wait, let me get the door for Kitty, and she's just like, wait, you're not Kitty.
Oh my my gosh. No. No.
So,
You don't need a position. What I'm saying is, I'm not asking you to have a position. I'm trying to determine what existentialism is, and you're trying to say it's nothing.
yeah, isn't like existential? Well, we already talked about
You're saying like, well, it does this.
Yeah, what like,
I say, what's that object over there? You go, oh, it helps you.
that. Yeah, when so.
Okay, but what is it? Well, it's a way to make you learn. Well, what is it? You know, it's like
It almost stems from like depressed type feelings can kind of be categorized into some form, negative form, existentialism. So
I felt like mine was. I would have varying highs and lows too. Like existentialism is usually associated with negative feelings because there's there's this like almost unlearning of things about yourself and the world that is sort of frightening.
yeah, it could be. But I guess that's which is like difficult for like intuitives, I think, to
Yeah.
actually like make good use of their time, and actual because once you think about like have these existential thoughts, you get caught up in like that thought and you're like, well, maybe I should be trying to make use of this time. But then like if you're an intuitive, that would be like difficult at
It
times.
is, yeah.
Like, so
It is.
the thing is, I understand that existentialism is basically as a prescription. It's summed up as if you remember that you're going to die someday, you'll use your time. Your time will be more maximally lived in some way.
Right.
But
what type of pizza did you get? Sorry, I was random.
I don't think I necessarily agree with that.
Oh, about what I said?
No, I don't know if I ever phrased what you were saying or not. You may have been saying something different. I think you were, but
Yeah, I think I said something initially. I was like, does it seem like there are like aspects of depression that can fall in the category of like negative existentialism, like when you're having a issue with yourself, and then Rachel brought the idea that you start being overwhelmed by the knowledge that you can gain in the world and like how much that you can gain in the world, and it could be overwhelming, something like that.
Yeah, it is. It is
So,
overwhelming.
So that's kind of what we've been talking about, that part. And then
Nihilism is overwhelming too, I think.
Nihilism,
yeah.
Yeah, that just seems like it's like
Nihilistic tendencies, I guess.
I mean, whenever you kind of see that, it almost always just has some type of negative connotations to them, almost immediately,
Right?
just by its nature.
Yeah.
But
real nihilism is just taking action, doing some shit, and going. And someone says, "Why do you do that?" You go, "Because I don't give a fuck." That's real nihilism. There's no philosophy to it. There's no words to it. It's just doing whatever the fuck you want and claiming you are not subject to moral constraint.
So that seems like that's where like psychopathic tendencies will be in that area, right?
Right, but
Like
what
that
it really turns out to be is the intellectual playground of young NTPs, especially INTPs.
It's good
to have you
you'll
get
home. Oh, I'm
sorry. 18, 19, 20-year-old INTPs will all go through a nihilism phase because they'll determine that they can negate any argument, no matter what it is, even though that's not true, but they determine that they can at that point, because usually for them they can. And that as a consequence, there are no absolutes, there are no positions that you can maintain. So nothing means anything, and you shouldn't ever ascribe to meaning, and you can win this point by showing how everything is negatable. It's a fundamental failure to recognize that nihilism is an affirmation, not a negation. And you can't win it as an affirmation because it's claiming shit's meaningless. And to use words to claim shit's meaningless is to be self-defeating.
Right. Yeah.
Well, Winston's mom says is right as well. such as Rene Descartes and G.W.F.
Oh.
Hegel.
I'm glad you evolved past that, Jake Hurwitz, I guess.
Existentialists reject the premise, basically, of reality.
Well, they reject the premises of a just universe, for sure.
Yeah.
Rene Descartes, Hegel, reject the premise that human beings are primarily rational creatures of an ordered, well-designed universe. They also do not believe the answers to life challenges can be solved through thoughtful consideration of reason and deliberation. Instead, existentialists view human beings as creatures whose reason is subordinate to human passions and anxieties and exist in an irrational, absurd, and insignificant universe. So there's a nihilistic quality to it in there, but the point is, of course, it depends, right? It's like there are some people who need to deliberate less.
So what would you categorize as deliberation? It like connotates like some form of action, right? Or intentionality.
I mean, it deliberation is paired with an action. Deliberation function is paired with action function. So you and I are both action deliberators. She's a knower interfacer, and you can kind of generally tell the difference between how we are versus how she is. You know, she's much more attentive to the dynamic system of our interactions as a group, as a party of people, than either you or I are, because we're paying more attention to what we're trying to say when we're trying to say it.
I'm very comfortable in that.
That's interesting. Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah, I mean, I guess eventually everyone has to get comfortable with that, right? Like their main way of being.
well, I think that
So.
the action deliberation types need to get with knowledge, interface types, because there's a complementary aspect to it.
It's okay, baby.
So it's like if you're an NE DOM,
I'm a
it's good to get with an NI DOM. If you're an NE tool user, it's good to get with NI12. If you're an NI tool user, it's good to get with NE12. And NI DOM is good to get with NE12. Because in those instances, you've got the complementary kinds of action you've got so as an extrovert intuitor, I've got the wrong kind of knowledge function automatically goes with it. I've got SI. I mean, it's right for extroverted intuition, but it's not the one that validates whether the extroverted intuition is any good or not. That's the fifth slot function, NI. So being with an NI DOM helps supplement that deficit area.
And do you think a lot like the certain stereotypes of like the perceivers and judges of them being more clean or tidy or scheduled or not? Do you think those stereotypes still apply?
I mean, I think those stereotypes are mostly bullshit that are taken from the fact that they're stereotypes of STJs and to a lesser extent SFJs. And so, yeah, it's kind of true of the STJs and SFJs. It's not true of the other gender types. Horse Mobile, I appreciate your pun, though I will note it. I'll give it no further note at the moment. And this is, I never was appreciated. How does fifth slot NE act as a validator for first slot NI? It acts as a liberator. NI acts as a validator, NE acts as a liberator. So I've seen it happen before where Rachel's not having a good relationship with what her NI is telling her at a moment. And here's an example. The other day, Rachel and I decided to go to the store, and I said, "Oh, let's pull a tarot card before we go to the store." The first card we pulled was a bad card. I don't remember exactly. I think 10 of Swords. The next one we pulled was another bad card. It was that you brought a shovel when you need a rake card. And then I was like, let's pull another one. Third one I pulled was the Tower card. Terrible card, right? So now Rachel's in a good place in general right now, so she's not likely to kind of get all entangled in that. I mean, as much as she might in some other circumstances. But what I did is I said, okay, well, I know what this means. If we go to that Ralph's down there, we're going to get this card. If we go to that bond's right there, we're gonna get this card. If we go to the Ralph's up there, we're gonna get this card. So we should go to Smart and Final. Now, at that point, I just invalidated any power the negative NI of the tarot would have there by NE. So that's how NE is liberating to NI, right? There are 3 terrible cards, and instead I interpreted it as the tarot has successfully directed us to our own benefit to Smart and Final, which was in fact true. Smart and Final is a lot cheaper and is a much better place to shop. Especially the kind of shit we get.
Then what other place?
Then either Ralph's, Bonds, or other Ralph's.
I was trying to think of the medieval the medieval version of that, of like the grocery store. Like, what would that be? Is there a word for that? Like the medieval version of the grocery store? It's just like a market or something?
Yeah, it's the market or the bazaar or something.
Man, so weren't people probably getting murdered in that area? Like, probably thinking bad thoughts. I think I've seen that in the game. That's why I'm thinking that. I don't know. Infertile
Piggy. So you and I decided something is bad, and you knew I needed to forget or fix the bad thing. It's not that simple. Okay, Infertile Piggy is not that simple. You've got to. It's got to have its own. It's got to be the right kind of NE. So that was a great example of it. It's a very NI satisfying example of NE. My NE validated there because I didn't say something dumb like, "Oh well, maybe they were meant to be pulled upside down. I don't know. That's never gonna fly. She's never gonna buy that, right? You got to be clever. That was a clever thing to do. Was to redirect the entire meaning of the thing. Now, from my perspective, all I've done is make the magic the way I want it. That if I didn't do anything, there wouldn't be any magic, because magic is predicated on me taking action. Rachel has a receiver's kind of understanding of magic because she's NI. So she understands magic as coming in the form of knowing things. Whereas I think of it as coming in the form of deciding and making things be things a certain way.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it. NE finds a way and I finds a way.
You're tired, emailing Anthrax, falling asleep. You're going shopping. Well, we did go shopping. But the point is, it doesn't just work like that with tarot. It's an NI dom can be consumed by the what I would call the determinateness of their NI truth when it's not really determinate, because there are other ways that you can, when NI tells me this is a dead end, there's no way I can get out of this labyrinth, that's when I blow up the labyrinth. Well, let's just dynamite this fucker then. There's always some way to get out of there. But NI tend to be confined by what is in the moment of the past and the future, all but not their own personal past. As to a lesser extent, depends where it is. NI doms have it in their repertoire. SI is confined by habits built up in past experience, impressions of your life too. Your SI impressions are not the same thing as actually accurate representations of what happened. Memories are self-serving things. When Kyra leaves, will she miss the protest traffic?
I don't know. I guess that's an aspect of, what would that be? I'm not even paying attention to that, I think.
Have you been to any protests?
No, I haven't.
No.
No, I was talking about like the traffic part of it.
Right, I know, but I mean, you haven't attended any protests?
No. What, like any kind?
No, I mean about this whole cops thing.
No, I just am kind of staying in.
I don't even think it's really about the cops at all. I think it's about COVID.
Remember, I used to always propose that it's about the War of 1812.
Oh yeah, well,
It
could be that, but I really think it's about COVID.
Really about COVID. know.
People are frustrated for being, I mean, their whole lives.
In their situation, right?
You know, it's like, I don't know. I just don't think it was justified ever in the first place.
Yeah, like it could be a mixture of things, but I guess that's what happens when people like get really outraged about something and their feelings get like into it.
Sure, I was invited to purchase in Canada. I'm starting to wonder what the point is in Canada. Our cops seem to be better. Starting to wonder what the point is. Yeah, what the fuck are you guys protesting? First of all,
You guys are protesting that the officer he gave you like a ticket when he wasn't supposed to. No, I don't know how it is in Canada, but there's a joke in there.
The
So.
emergent religion of division. That's such a nice turn of phrase there, First World War. I am going to bridge the peoples of the world, like my fingers are bridging right now. I will end divisiveness with my non-alcoholic beer. This represents my non-divisiveness. You got your drunks, you got your teetotalers. Hey, I'm right here between the two of you, smoking weed and drinking this non-alcoholic beer.
It's like, never mind.
Or is it about Trump? It's sort of about Trump too. But a lot of people are mad about Trump. I mean, the left feels as though they've been trampled on by Trump, and so they're not afraid to want to trample back. They have been trampled on by Trump, and this is the problem with divisiveness: is when you do take power and you're part of a divisive squad, then what do? You take it out on your enemies. You crush them after you take power, and fuck these demons, Well, that's the problem. That's the problem. You need to be reasonable adults about everything. And you know what that means? It means you only need to watch more C.S. Joseph.
Yeah, that's probably why in Canada there seems to be a little more harmony than there is in America, perhaps. I don't know.
There's plenty of harmony around here.
Well, yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah.
But I guess, and then why does Canada have the reputation of being way more, more civil or something?
They're known to be nice.
Yeah, aren't they?
Yeah.
Way more.
That's the stereotype of them.
In general, I don't think American culture is plagued by instances of disharmony. I do think that the political discourse is completely turned into a cesspool of bad kind of discourse.
Could you pull some cards in this live stream?
Sure. Yeah, let's pull some cards. I'm getting trying to run out of energy here. So let's pull some cards, go for another 20 minutes, and then possibly wrap this thing up here.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Segregation is the death of whole communities. What do you mean? I mean, are you under the impression that?
Oh no, he's it's because he proposed that like in Canada, black and white people work shoulder to shoulder, and he was just saying that segregation brings death to communities. So
I mean, not unless it's like a gas chamber. This is for you, Chris Chapman. You're a community-minded fellow with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pentacles.
oh, was that who he was talking about?
Chris Chapman said, "Can I get a pull?" So I'm pulling it for him. Where's your second card, Chris Chapman?
Ooh, la.
Oh, to the la to the la. It's the lover's card. It's what's called the getting naked card. Chris Chapman, your third and final card. This represents the mists that shroud the heart within. Here's the mists that shroud the heart within.
6 of Swords. You take action.
Action just shrouds. There's a mist that shrouds your inner heart. Okay? Remember that. Okay, Chris Chapman, there you go. I don't know what the first one was anymore. The second one. The lovers one is clear. It's saying, pick. Go ahead and pick. Go pick if you can. All right, here we go. I'm going to pull a card for Kyra. Then
Yeah.
Rachel pull a card for Kyra. Then Kyra pull a card for Kyra.
Yeah.
Sure. So you pull one for me, and then
And then she pulls one for you, and then
Okay.
you pull one for you. This is the
Okay.
first card for Kyra. She got the 2 of sticks. Pyow to the pyow. Right now, Rachel, you pull a card for Kyra. Pyow. Okay. Rachel pulled out the Ace of Wands.
Ooh.
You got the 1 of 6 and the 2 of 6. Now, Kyra.
just pick any random card.
Well, whichever one strikes you as the right one.
Three of Cups. That's cool. We have succession.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
What is this?
Okay, so this one it's a new beginning of sticks. You pretend you lost all of your sticks, and now you can start over and you got some brand new sticks. What do the sticks represent, Rachel?
Creativity.
Okay.
A
So,
brand new, like a creative idea.
so perhaps you'll leave here today feeling infused with creative energy or something. Now, what's this 2-1 mean?
2 of what rods usually equals partnership.
Okay. So there's a matter of concern involving another person in your life that's making you stand on the turret and look out longingly at the sunset.
A turret, like a gun, like.
No, not is that what is that called? Not a turret. What is that called? That's called a turret, isn't it? Isn't that called a turret? Are you standing on? Is that a turret?
Part of the castle.
All right.
And it's like, look at the whole world.
And this one looks kind of sinister almost.
It's party time.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Now, what happened was while you were standing there musing, looking at the sunset on your turret, finally said, "You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna go hang out with Rachel and her."
Yeah.
Yeah, you're looking, you're like, I'm gonna go travel out into the world.
And you're the baby in this picture, right?
I would assume it
No.
is.
Yeah.
Unless I'm the actual cup.
I think you're
So
supposed to be
Come
the.
too.
Who do you think the you is in this picture, as a general rule? Are you supposed to identify with this one? This dude?
I think it's left.
He's like the main character of the picture, right?
Maybe yes.
Okay, so yeah, so either you're gonna hold up your cup and a baby's gonna pour wine into it, but miss and pour it on her head, or you might be the chick and you might be like, "Hey, quit pouring wine on my head," or you could be the baby and be like, "I love pouring wine." One of those 3. Which one do you think it is?
You talking to me? I don't
Yeah.
know. It's let me see. Well, which one?
Which character are you in the picture? Let's put it. Which character are you?
I would probably.
Okay.
I would want to be the girl in this one.
And
Okay.
which
Yeah.
character are you in this picture?
For some reason, I want to be this monk-looking dude. I don't know why. It's just like I'm just going off
The
of
sun
like
is-
intuition.
And which of these people do you identify with most?
Let's see. This I don't know if that's a
like
girl
a
or boy.
tween. Well,
Yeah.
he's like a tween,
Yeah.
right before you get into your teens, maybe like 9, 10-year-old kid, right? That little boy. That's
Now, what does this card make you think of?
Of who I want to be, or just anything.
Just tell me what it makes you think of.
It kind of looks like there was a party and something severely went wrong.
That's a good. I like that.
This little
Ooh,
like
the
perhaps they were up
party.
there and like something struck and
They
then
got struck
like,
by lightning.
yeah.
Now, who are you in that picture?
I'm this person who looks like they're kind of
She's like, I'm
they're
not
almost
sure.
like, yeah, they're like, this guy's kind of sketchy. I don't know if I should trust him. Like, and this person is a little more like resolute, like they're
Yeah.
confident about it.
Yeah.
Like,
So
Last
she's
one.
saying
Who
that.
are you in that one?
She's saying
Go
that
ahead,
should
Rachel.
be this one because this one too, like resolute.
I'm
And this
definitely,
one's not
I'm
trusting the
definitely,
guy as much. So this Kyra's this one.
yeah. In this one, I'm definitely her. She looks like she knows something, but like she's like, I don't know, but she's kind of being a
A
little
little mysterious.
mysterious or mischievous about
Yeah.
it.
Okay. And that means you're going to marry a man named Todd, have 6 children, and buy a Buick.
Nice. It's a good
Very specific.
fortune.
Very specific, yeah. Work with the youths. I work with the youths sometimes, yeah. It's a turret, yes, okay. And a crenulated one, but it's not machinated. Good to know.
Yeah.
Go, parent whispered. Do what you must do. As always, I will watch your back. Well, thanks, Winston's mom. I'm assuming you're parent in this story here, and I'm Rand.
Aww.
Your name is Todd? Okay, cool. Todd, here you go. Email Anthrax. This one. This is your card. Get on the boat.
3 of rods.
Mhm.
You're waiting for your ships to come in.
Winston's mom, here's
Maybe
your
an
card.
Amazon order.
Winston's mom, too many pleasures before you. Don't know which one to choose. This is your card, Winston's mom.
My emotions. Which one am I feeling? I do not know.
Which is you, Cloud? You're all over this one. What is it?
8 of cups. Your emotions. You're over someone. Over it.
Horse Mumbler. You're next. Knight of Pentacles.
Knight of Pentacles. You're interested in someone, but you're taking your time. And you're like the Prince of Money. So you know a lot, but not as much as the King.
James. You get 2 cards.
Ooh.
Victory and 10 of Swords.
So 10 of Swords. You're like not feeling this whole COVID thing. You want to go out, but like, keeping you inside. But in the end, you'll be victorious because you're going to get over it. And you're going to go outside with your creative sticks.
Turning the sun red.
Yeah. It is a full new moon, actually.
David
so.
White. Your card. Let's see what you get. Let's see what David White gets. Rachel, help me out. What did David White get?
I didn't even know there was this many
Ooh.
tarot cards.
Ace of Rods. Getting creative with you have a new creative idea. Maybe you want to cook or paint or maybe get a little
Infernal Piggy.
Justice. You've been waiting for this card, bro.
Infernal Piggy. Justice for you. Congratulations.
See? Those 10 of Swords are not going to be a part of your life anymore. Kitty Wonderpants, what? Miss Capio.
So what are you guys doing?
Uh-huh.
It seemed like that's what she
It definitely is. She's like, hey guys, I'm here. And I'm a little shy.
Okay. This is for who else is out there? That's it? Pee-Pee
Pee-Pee
gets
get a card.
All right, Pee-Pee get a card. Put these back in. We'll pull a card for Pee-Pee, card for Rachel,
Oh yeah.
card for me, and probably wrap it up. Pee-Pee, making a decision.
Inside or outside kitty play?
Or maybe she's like, okay, if I go over there now, is trouble gonna be there? She could be playing avoid trouble.
She kind of is, I think.
Let's pick this card. Okay. Now, Kyra, which of these cards? Oops, that was upside down, Coach.
Sorry.
Okay. Kyra, which of these cards do you think is for Rachel?
This feels oddly extreme. I feel like I'm choosing someone's fate right now.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
Ooh. 9 of what?
Seven of
Seven of
Swords.
That's an
Swords.
interesting looking one.
Deceitful.
Deceitful.
Hmm.
Okay. Now let's pull a card for me, Kyra.
That's intense.
Yeah.
Wait, so what do you think that means?
Could mean any number of things. Knight of Pentacles.
Traveling along, got some money in your pocket.
Yeah.
Into the yellow.
So, yeah, I don't know what I was going to do.
What is another way of interpreting the deceitful card? The
Well, let me look at it.
7 of Swords.
I don't see that as deceitful. I see it as type 7.
Oh yeah.
We're not going to pay attention to these clouds with the swords poking in the metal. I'm going to play this thing, and you're going to play over there. We're just going to ignore those clouds because they're not going to be coming over anytime soon. They might miss us entirely. Why do we need to pay attention to those? That's what I interpret that card, right?
Yeah.
This is super
Do,
interesting. Like
do,
with the
yeah.
knives up there, it's like.
There's 2 swords up
How do you guys
there.
know this is deceit?
Well,
She
you
knows
probably
the cards well.
memorized
She
them.
learns
Yeah,
them well.
I
She's been playing with
study.
them for a long
I feel like I
studied.
kind of want to.
But this card, each card,
Up.
like, it is different. This doesn't really look like deceit, right? But like the 2 cards of the 2 of Swords is about not making a decision. So it could be like really ignoring a decision that you have to make. I am on the fence of if taking a shower or not tonight. My hair, that's my big decision right now, and I am kind of dawdling. It's 6:08 now, and I don't want to go to bed with a wet head. So, thinking after the stream, I think I actually may wash my hair.
Yep, and this is going to conclude the stream. In fact, thank you all for being here. Thanks especially to Kyra for being here, our very special guest.
Thanks so much for coming.
Yeah, it's super fun.
Yeah. Let's do it again.
And we'll see you all later. Don't forget to rock and roll.
Bye.
Bye.